Not your typical opening match here on today's telecast. Lots of action with three players on the lanes all at once. Liz Johnson versus Anthony Pepe versus Brad Angelo. Only one will survive this shootout and earn the right to face Dick Allen in the title match. As far as today's lane conditions, this Cheetah Championship is named for the cheetah oil pattern.
35 feet in length, very high scoring. In fact, Liz Johnson, her last 5 games of the tournament, averaged over 261.
And the blue concentration indicating the concentration of oil on the lane out to 35 feet. This is Brad Angelo. Opening 3-player semifinal match. The high scorer will advance to face Dick Allen. Opening shot of Geico PBA World Series of Bowling 6. Strike.
I spoke to Brad earlier about his success on this cheetah oil pattern. He says, yeah, I normally don't bowl very well in this pattern. Brad's not a real hard throwing player. He likes to throw it soft. Liz Johnson loves to throw it hard. No surprise she made it.
Behind the players during today's telecast, you'll see tour reps that the players will consult with during competition. For this match, it's Jim Callahan, Del Ballard Jr., and Chris Schlemmer. And now making his debut, Anthony Pepe, left-hander, will bowl on the left lane behind Angelo.
Anthony Pepe's got just a great game. He reminds me a lot of the old Dave Davis in that classic style and form, just Dave Davis with a lot more power. Lots of action in this 3-player shootout. The winner advances to face tournament leader Richie Allen.
High flush hit for Angelo and a double.
You know, anytime you bowl on the cheetah oil pattern, Mike J, you kind of get the mindset that, hey, the first one that doesn't strike is out. It's a high-scoring pattern with a lot of strikes being thrown. As we take a look at Liz Johnson's arsenal, she's going with the IQ Tour Nano.
Oh, high in the big 4.
Yeah, you just heard her say that's what she was worried about. Obviously an issue on that left lane for her. She hit the hook spot just outside the first arrow. The ball hooked up high and she paid the price. Look at that form.
Beautiful shot right down the target line, just a little outside first arrow for Pepe and an opening double. Johnson on the split conversion attempt takes the count, 8 outs.
And we'll take a look at Brad Angelo's arsenal here. He's going with the sinister, a lot of hook. Liz Johnson using that IQ Tour Nano. She could actually ball up or go to something stronger if she wanted to, but Brad's choosing to go with strength, probably backing his hand out a little bit and letting the strength of the bowling ball and the oil pattern make the ball hook up into the pocket.
And a great strike for Angelo. Randy, Brad indicating he needs to keep his speed up. Why?
Well, because it's a short pattern. You know, the shorter the pattern, the more speed. You know, this pattern is synonymous with one name that comes to mind, and that's Eugene McCune. And Eugene McCune is known for throwing at 100. I mean, you think cheetah oil pattern, you think Eugene McCune.
And the Rocket had success multiple times on the cheetah. Now Johnson, after the open frame, back in the pocket.
Yeah, and what's she going to do on the left lane? And, you know, right now Liz Johnson's got to be saying to herself, I got to strike out to have any chance. If she does strike out, she'll still shoot 266. As we take a look at Anthony Pepe's arsenal, IQ Tour Nano.
Anthony Pepe, impressive opening 3 pitches. 3 strikes for Angelo, 3 strikes for Pepe, and Liz has the only open frame. More of our opening semifinal when we return to the new South Point Bowling Plaza. The Geico World Series of Bowling PBA Cheetah Championship is brought to you by Geico. Saving people money on more than just car insurance. By AMF. Roll this way. By Barbasol. Life is full of close shaves. Make sure your close shave is a Barbasol close shave. And by Storm. Bowlers serving bowlers. Storm is the bowlers company. Welcome back to the PBA Cheetah Championship here at the 6th edition of the Geico PBA World Series of Bowling. 240 players entered the Cheetah Championship. So how did the 4 players competing today make it to our televised finals? Let's look back at the tournament highlights as seen on Extra Frame. After 7 games, the field was whittled down to the top 24, who then bowled 7 more games. And though Dick Allen was number 1 from start to finish, he did get some pressure late from Brad Angelo.
Tell you what, he really found a way to make his ball reaction mesh. And how about a little messenger off the sidewall into the 10? Puts pressure on Richie Allen here to double in the 10th frame. There's the first hit. Richie needing a double to maintain the number 1 seed. And guess what? Richie Allen says, I got your double right here.
Anthony Pepe trying to make his first television show. And Randy goes perfect in game 2 of the round of 24.
Look at that, just slaughtered the pins. What a great shot that was.
300 game.
For a little 300 game for Anthony Pepe. Pete Weber was in it until the last game. Throwing great shots. Look at him just still running it out. He's pumped. But there was one person that had something to say about whether or not Pete Weber would make the show, and it was Liz Johnson.
Johnson needing to step up to strike to eliminate Weber and secure PBA history. A second appearance on television to contend for a PBA Tour title. Allen averaging 244 plus. Randy, that's fairly in line with Cheetah scoring.
I mean, I think it's a little below pace for your top 4. I mean, we've seen players average 260 in qualifying. It's a high-scoring event. Anytime you put Cheetah out, you see the strike percentage there. Dick Allen, almost 3 out of 4 shots, he's throwing a strike.
Speaking of strikes, Anthony Pepe made a couple while we were away to stay perfect here in the 4th. And again in the 5th. 2 strikes as well for Liz Johnson. As for Brad Angelo, who was working on a 3-bagger, he would leave the 10-pin here in the 4th, but would strike again in the 5th. And so Brad back up now here in the 6th frame as we get back to the action.
Oh, 9 again on that right lane for Brad Angelo. And all of a sudden, Brad's now thinking the same thing that Liz Johnson is thinking, in that it's spare this here in the 6th and strike out to have any chance. That would be 259 for Brad. Anthony Pepe right now has the lead. He's already at a 230 pace. Liz Johnson 2-0. Brad Angelo in the 2 teens.
10-pin.
Great shot, ring and 10 for Liz Johnson.
Same approach on the spare conversion for Angelo. Now look at Liz Johnson cross lane at her spare conversion attempt.
Both players using plastic spare balls and throwing the ball straight and hard at the single pin spares.
Let's go down to the settee. Kimberly, what do you have?
Thanks, guys. I was able to speak to Anthony Pepe during the break, and I asked him about his nerves coming on the show, and he says he is quite jittery, but he's taking deep breaths, and he's taking 1 frame at a time until he makes that final. But anybody watching the show right now would think that Anthony Pepe is actually an old pro at this, because right now, he just threw for his 6th straight strike.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Just the 6 and the 10 for Angelo.
I'm not sure anybody saw this coming. You know, I thought Anthony Pepe would be very nervous. First time on television. And right now, it's a rout. He's perfect through 6. Liz Johnson, she had the big opening in the 2nd frame. Brad Angelo has now missed the pocket for the first time. This is Anthony Pepe's match for the taking. He's just a couple of frames away from locking this up.
Angelo on the spare conversion, and Randy, I spoke with Anthony yesterday, and he said part of the equation here is he's working with a sports psychologist, and he lives the life of an elite bowler, the dull life of an elite bowler, and he tries to shut everything out other than ball, lanes, and pins. So far, so good.
Well, he's been seeing Dr. Eric Lasser, who I've actually had conversations with. So Anthony Pepe's in good hands.
Oh my, 7-bagger for Pepe.
Hey, I don't want to jinx him right now because I'm just a good guy and I like Anthony, so I'm not going to say what his potential score is in this game, but he's got the front 7. First time on television, front 7. He's going to bowl for the title, barring any catastrophe in the 8th, 9th, and 10th frame.
Brad Angelo strikes. Owner at Brad Angelo Lanes. We know Lockport, New York is tuned in.
Max score for Brad, 247. Max score Liz Johnson, 245. Max score for Anthony Pepe, more than that.
Eighth frame, Anthony Pepe. He's got them all in his ESPN debut.
Hey! Oh!
8-bagger. Pepe in command. Here's our Columbia 300 fun fact. The city of Las Vegas has hosted more than 100 PBA and PBA 50 tour events, more than any other city. Angelo, foundation frame.
What a performance thus far by Anthony Pepe. Looks pretty loose. He hasn't even broken a sweat. Normally when guys are nervous, players are nervous, they get a lot of sweat beating up on their forehead. Anthony Pepe looks cooler than, well, you know.
About 8 cucumbers. Anthony's only bowled in 8 PBA Tour events heading into this year's World Series, and he's taken it to the champions.
Anthony Pepe is moving on to bowl for the title, but he still has a little bit of fun left in the 10th frame. Good week for Brad Angelo. Good to see him back in top form again, suffering that wrist injury and taking an entire year off as Anthony Pepe and Chris Schlemmer converse. I don't know about you, but I'd be more like if, when the pitcher sat down in the dugout, nobody ever sits next to him or talks to him, especially when they got a no-hitter going. What a bully. That's okay, Liz. We're all very proud of you. Great week for Liz Johnson as well. She has 1 regional win, 14 women's tour titles. She threw 1 ball for the 14 games of qualifying to get to this point. She's an impressive professional bowler. But right now, the stage is set. After Brad Angelo and Liz Johnson throws their fill shots, the stage is set for Anthony Pepe to make history.
Come on, Brad.
10th frame, Anthony Pepe. Perfect 10! Anthony Pepe trying for a perfect game here in his television debut, a feat only accomplished once before in PBA history. That was 1988 when Bob Benoit shot 300 against the legend Mark Roth in the title match of the Quaker State Open in Grand Prairie, Texas. Benoit would go on to win 3 more PBA Tour titles in his career, but none of them could ever be as memorable as his first. 2 more strikes and Pepe will join Benoit in the PBA history books.
He's got 11! Anthony Pepe trying to ink himself in the PBA Tour record book in his very first game on television.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, whether he does it or not. What a performance thus far. And what a way to start the World Series of Bowling 6.
Fagan, Schaefer, and Patrick Allen encouraged him to join, and this is where he wants to be for perfection at the World Series of Bowling. 295.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Good luck, buddy. Good luck.
Great job. Thank you. One more game.
Good work.
Good work.
Dial it back down.
And the Barbasol close shave of the day, Randy, almost perfection.
You can see he got it in just as soon as it left his hand, and it goes right through the face. He almost got 4. But what a great start. Now Anthony's got to somehow find a way to gain his composure. He's got one more game going up against a pretty tough hombre in Richie Allen. You call him Dick Allen, I'm going to call him Richie Allen. They're going to bowl for the title next.